Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolutely extraordinary journey. We are going to explore how the story of Lord Krishna's birth transitioned from deep ancient mythology into this massive, tangible, modern-day reality. We're going to be unpacking ancient texts, looking at precise astronomical alignments, walking through centuries of really turbulent architectural history, and finally, looking at a modern festival that practically brings entire cities to a standstill. It's a wild ride, so let's get into it.
To really understand this, we need to set the scene based on the ancient Indian texts. So, picture this. It's a remarkably dark, incredibly stormy night. Inside a heavily guarded prison cell in Mathura, a divine infant is born. And almost immediately, this newborn child has to be secretly smuggled out into the torrential rain, carried across a violently flooded river, all just to evade the wrath of a wicked king named Kamsa. I mean, it literally sounds like the ultimate ancient thriller, doesn't it?
And that brings us to a really fascinating question, the whole core of what we're talking about today. How exactly did this single, highly dramatic event, which is said to have happened thousands of years ago, go on to shape physical geography, inspire breathtaking historical art, and mobilize the faith of literally millions of people over millennia? To answer that, we've got to start at the very beginning.
Let's jump into Section 1, the Midnight Divine Birth.
To truly grasp the sheer weight of Krishna's birth, you have to look at the ancient texts, which reveal this deep, multi-generational mythological backstory. It actually involves the previous lifetimes of his parents, Devaki and Vasudeva. Back in their first life during the Swayambhuva Mantara, they underwent severe penance. We're talking enduring extreme weather and intense fasting, all just to earn the right to this divine child. They were then reborn as Aditi and Kashyapa, and finally, in their third life, they incarnated as Devaki and Vasudeva. So this was literally lifetimes in the making.
So here we are in this third life, confined in King Kamsa's prison. Source texts like the Bhagavata Purana describe an absolute jaw-dropping moment here. The divine didn't initially appear as a helpless little baby. No, the texts say he appeared as a magnificent, majestic four-armed deity holding a conch, a mace, a discus, and a lotus. But out of sheer terror for the child's safety from the king, Devaki actually prayed for him to hide this majestic form, and magically, the divine transformed into an ordinary human infant, ready for what was about to be a very perilous escape.
Moving right along to Section 2, Under the Star Rohini.
The exact moment of this miraculous birth wasn't random. It's recorded to have occurred under the Rohini Nakshatra. If you're not familiar, in Indian astrology, Rohini is the fourth lunar station, and it corresponds perfectly with that bright, orange-red star you might know as Aldebaran, right there in the Taurus constellation. Plus, in Hindu mythology, Rohini is revered as the favorite consort of the moon god Chandra. So this is an astrological placement that carries a massive, massive amount of significance.
And nature itself supposedly reacted to this rare astronomical alignment in spectacular fashion. The source texts describe a dramatic, almost magical shift in the environment. Despite it being this dark, raging, stormy night, the stars and planets suddenly turned peaceful, lotuses miraculously bloomed in ponds in the absolute dead of night, muddy rivers suddenly ran completely clear, and the forest just filled with colorful, fragrant flowers. It was like absolute serenity, just suddenly dropping right into the middle of chaos.
Okay, let's look at Section 3, Crossing the River Yamuna.
This crazy, perilous journey across the water to Gokul has captivated artists for centuries. I want to highlight this highly evocative description from the Mia Museum, which details a stunning 1720 Mongkod school painting. It visually immortalizes the journey, and the museum describes the torrential rain that night as falling like delicate strings of pearls. Think about that for a second. It's such a beautiful contrast, a really desperate, deadly escape, painted with just sheer poetic elegance.
That same artwork also details the incredible, supernatural aid Vasudeva received while he was carrying the infant through the storm. You have the multi-headed serpent Vasuki rising up behind him to act as a literal protective umbrella against the downpour. Then, the wildly swirling, flooded waters of the Yamuna River are said to have actually parted to make a safe path for them. And get this, there's even a roaring tiger depicted standing guard on the opposite riverbank. Just a completely epic scene.
That brings us to Section 4. History of the birthplace.
Now, let's ground this in reality. The physical birthplace in Mathura, known as the Krishna Janmastan Temple Complex, has an incredibly turbulent timeline. It's a real roller coaster. A magnificent temple was rebuilt there by the Gupta Emperor Chandragupta II around 400 CE. But then, it was plundered in 1017 by Muhammad of Ghazni. Fast forward a bit, and it was famously destroyed in 1670 by the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, who then built the Shahi Eidgah Mosque right in its place. It actually wasn't until 1982, through the efforts of several industrialists, that the massive modern temple complex we see today was finally completed.
So today, the physical reality of the site is deeply layered and, honestly, very complex. The historical Garbhagriha, which is the sanctum sanctorum believed by devotees to be the exact geographic location of that ancient prison cell, sits directly against the rear wall of the 17th century Shahi Eidgah Mosque. It's a vivid representation of centuries of overlapping human history existing right on top of one another on a single spot of land.
And finally, Section 5, Modern-Day Janmashtami.
When you look at how the twin holy cities celebrate today, there's this fascinating split in the vibe. Mathura, being the birthplace, focuses heavily on the infant Krishna. They feature Julanotsov, these beautifully decorated swings cradling the infant, and elaborate color-themed temple decorations called gatas. But over in Vrindavan, where Krishna grew up, the focus shifts entirely to his youth. They have these vibrant rasalilas, which are amazing dance dramas. There's even local folklore in Vrindavan's Madhoban area, where locals won't even set foot after dusk because they genuinely believe Krishna still returns to dance there every single night. How cool is that? Across both of these cities, the anticipation just builds and builds all day until exactly midnight, which, remember, is the recorded hour of his birth. This exact moment is marked by a grand abhishek, which is a ritualistic bath of the idol using milk and curd. Then, the Lord is offered panchamrit and the famous chapan bhog. Guys, that is an astonishing spread of 56 unique dishes. Finally, the climax of the night is the ceremonial rocking of the cradle, accompanied by all this beautiful chanting, and that is when devotees finally break their day-long fasts.
All of this, the epic history, the deep ancient mythology, the intense modern ritual, it all culminates in one staggering statistic. Over 800,000 devotees flood into Mathura and Vrindavan every single year to experience this exact festival. That's practically a small country of people converging on these two cities.
Which brings us right back around to our final thought for this explainer. Just look at the immense journey we've unpacked today. How incredible is it that a story of a single stormy night in an ancient prison cell still has the sheer power to mobilize millions of people, inspire breathtaking art, command physical geography, and actively continue to write human history today? It's a lot to think about. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll leave you to ponder that remarkable reality.